Hello everybody. As some of y'all know, yesterday I compared Gorilla Tag and Yeeps Hide and Seek. In that video, I took 10 topics and said which game was better on that specific topic. Out of the 10 topics that were there, I gave 7 out of 10 to Yeeps Hide and Seek and 3 out of 10 to Gorilla Tag. So today I'm going to go more in detail and actually explain my reasoning behind each of these decisions. Also, to you people who are hating and saying that I'm wrong, have you even played Yeeps Hide and Seek for more than 3 hours? I've played both games for a lot of time, so I feel like I'm qualified to say on this debate, or talk on this debate. The first thing I gave to Yeeps was the mechanics, like being able to build stuff with pillows and with cotton, and also being able to use cotton to grab other things to destroy the pillow forts. Also, you can use those things to hit stuff, like you can get a bat to hit a gnome, you can use an umbrella to glide, of course, hit some cows or something, use a bomb and blow something up, and the cows can also, and other stuff can also hurt you and take cotton. You can also use something like grapplers to swing across the map and get from place to place. Now, that isn't all of them. There's a bunch of different mechanics, but there's way too many to go over in this little short video. The next thing I gave to Yeeps was maps. Now, not only are there tons of different maps, as you will see in this little recording of me looking over the map board, but in just a second, I will show you some maps from the game. There are some highly detailed maps, like Gnome Capital being a little town on top of a hill. But there's also detailed cities, like the city of Nomkio, that has very detailed interiors, which is really cool. Next thing I went over was game modes. I forgot to record any clips for game modes, but I'll just go over them. Unlike Gorilla Tag, where you only have a few limited time game modes, in Yeeps Hide and Seek, there is a lot of game modes that aren't limited time. For example, there are Cops and Robbers, there is Outlaw, there is Tag, and also Hide and Seek. There is a bunch of different PvP game modes. There is a game mode where you defend a little beacon from bugs, and there's a few other game modes that I might be forgetting. But there is a bunch of different game modes with their own maps. Every game mode has their own map. It's not just like Gorilla Tag, where there's a few maps, and then you can play the game modes in almost every map. The next thing I gave Yeeps Hide and Seek a point for was replayability. Now, game modes do tie into replayability. There are a lot of game modes, and most of the game modes are fun. So if you get tired of one game mode, just switch game modes and go to a different game mode. Also, if you don't even like the game modes that are there is a plethora of different user-made maps that you can go and play if you get bored. Also, if you do not like those player-made maps, you can just make your own map. But there's a lot more stuff that you can do in Yeeps Hide and Seek than you can do in Gorilla Tag, hence making replayability a lot better in Yeeps Hide and Seek than Gorilla Tag because of the amount of stuff you can do, so you can replay Yeeps. Now, remember this clip from earlier? Yeeps Hide and Seek has a lot of maps. Now, Gorilla Tag came out about 2 years before Yeeps Hide and Seek, coming out in 2022, while Yeeps came out sometime in 2023. Gorilla Tag is also a lot more popular than Yeeps, bringing in a higher player count on average. And because it came out before Yeeps, and it has a bigger budget because it's way more popular, wouldn't you think Gorilla Tag would have a lot more maps than Yeeps Hide and Seek? Well, you'd be wrong, because I'm pretty sure that Yeeps Hide and Seek has around 20 maps, while according to Google, Gorilla Tag has about 6 maps. Probably even more than that, about like 10 or so maps, maybe. But still, on average, there are a lot more maps per update in Yeeps Hide and Seek than there are in Gorilla Tag. A lot more stuff comes out in Yeeps updates than Gorilla Tag on average also. There is a lot more items, like a bunch of blocks and melee weapons and other stuff like cosmetics. The next topic is affordability, and I probably should have phrased this a different way inside of the video. What I mean by affordability is how affordable the items are in the games. Now, I gave this to yeeps because the cheapest item that you can get in yeeps that isn't free will only take you a day to get. On the other hand, in Gorilla Tag, the cheapest item that you can get that isn't free will take you, at the very least, 5 days to get. The next thing I gave yeeps hide and seek a point for is being less toxic in my experiences. Now, I've played Gorilla Tag and I've played yeeps. I've played yeeps a lot more than I've played Gorilla Tag. But I've heard more racially motivated sentences in Gorilla Tag than I've ever heard in yeeps. Also, if you say anything racist, like if you say a slur, within like the next minute or so, you're gonna get mic bans because of the voice moderation filter. I don't even think Gorilla Tag has a voice moderation filter at all. Because I've heard people yell the N-word for about 20 minutes straight in an infection lobby. And I've heard that more recently. Now, the next thing I gave to yeeps hide and seek was building. Now, Gorilla Tag has building in the form of monkey blocks. Yeeps has building in the form of pillow blocks that you can build in play mode, and also wood blocks that you can build in creative mode. Now, the reason I give it to yeeps hide and seek is because there's a bunch of stuff inside of yeeps hide and seek that you can use to add detail, like a bunch of different slab blocks and a bunch of other stuff. It is just a lot better for building houses inside of yeeps hide and seek than you in Gorilla Tag, because it's really hard to build something inside Gorilla Tag monkey blocks without making it look like a Lego house. But there's stuff like glass and other things inside yeeps hide and seek that you can make some really good builds with. The next point I gave to yeeps hide and seek was creative freedom. Now, what I mean by creative freedom is that there is stuff like in the cosmetics, instead of being confined to one shirt, instead of just having, one shirt by itself, you can take the sleeves from one shirt and then put the sleeves onto another shirt and make a whole new shirt. Now, I'm not just going to be talking about cosmetics. There is a bunch of different blocks in yeeps creative mode, like I've said, that let you do stuff. Like you can make a whole freaking light system, you can make a vending machine, you can make a volcano, there's just a lot more range of freedom that you can do inside of yeeps hide and seek without having to have a computer or having to have coding skills or anything, and without having to have mods. Now, the last point that I gave to yeeps hide and seek was that it had less modders, because it's a lot harder to mod inside of yeeps hide and seek because there isn't as good mod support. Now, because of that, there isn't going to be any modders in your game of tag teleporting around the map or using speed packs and saying that they're just really good. Now, I really hope you guys can find my reasoning fair and put down your pitchforks and torches and stop trying to burn me at the stake for attacking Gorilla Tag and glazing yeeps hide and seek. The whole reason I made the first video in the first place was to get people to stop glazing Gorilla Tag, because a lot of people will glaze Gorilla Tag and say it's buns even though they haven't even played a quarter worth of yeeps hide and seek.